Hey everyone, welcome. This is Cindy Carroll here with Practice Like a Pro, and welcome to all those registered nurses and registered dietitians out there. Two great professions where I think our networking together can have great benefit for both professions. So my question for you today is, if you could name one factor that would be a game changer to helping you become a more effective clinician and critically thinking through your clients and your patients' illnesses, what might that be? And for me, without question, I would say it is using a more systems biology approach to my care. And as a functional medicine dietitian, I've been practicing over 25 years. I've looked through sort of a systems biology lens. It's kind of the framework in which functional practitioner works. But nutritionists, we're sort of thought of as the Jeopardy of the food world, where we, can rattle off the micronutrients, the macronutrients of any particular food. But it's really applying that nutrition information to the anatomy and physiology of the body where the value really comes in. And when I went back to school to get my RN license over 10 years ago, my functional medicine training in systems biology as a nutritionist took a shift really in my thought process as a nurse, and realizing that, gosh, more dietitians really need to be practicing through a systems biology framework. And nursing, by nature of what nurses do, we tend to think of the body in terms of systems, and nutritionists, I think, reference systems as well, but really have more of a focus on food. And it's bringing these two concepts together that can have great value in helping our patients, and I have great value to both disciplines in the field of nursing and to dietetics and nutrition. So systems biology is really pretty interesting, and I'm going to share a little bit here with you. It is almost a discipline in itself. So if you were to look online up systems biology, you would see a lot out there. It's a pretty big area of science, and it's not just with humans, but it's a study in all of biology, and just reminding us that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and that nothing occurs in isolation, whether we're maintaining health or if there is some kind of acute or chronic disease going on. And it's really understanding the parts of the systems of the body, to understanding how all of the systems work together. And I've developed a course actually on systems biology where we focus on 4 key systems. And this course is for dietitians and nurses, and you get 16 CEUs. We are finishing up one round right now, and we'll be starting the next one on June 10th. We take a deep dive into these 4 systems. We start with the GI tract, and then we move to the cardiovascular system, and we go to immune, and we finish with hormones and the endocrine system. And I'm going to give you just a little example of how you can apply systems biology to your patients, and explaining what is a very complex subject but an important subject of how the GI tract and why the GI tract is so important to the health of the rest of the body. And I call it the 4 key ingredients of the gut. And they are the gut microbiome, intestinal permeability, access to the circulation, and the immune cells that live in the gut. And then you take everybody's genes, which are different, of course, and you have a different response to all of these key ingredients. And if you go, let's start with ingredient number 1, the gut microbiota, which includes not just bacteria, but also viruses, fungi, archaea. And these organisms are of great interest in the medical research right now, of how they orchestrate many pathways in the body. And they produce metabolites or byproducts that have both positive and negative systemic effects. And that's what we're trying to learn, what are all these effects. We know that they're both beneficial and pathogenic organisms in a normal flora. And we're just gaining information about which ones are the ones that have more meaning and what their effects are. We want the more pathogenic organisms to be, that circle to be a little bit smaller, of course, because they can be pretty opportunistic. Ingredient number 2 is the intestinal permeability of the small and large intestine. This is a normal characteristic of the intestines, and as nutritionists, we know this because it's in part of what enables us to absorb nutrients. It's when this permeability becomes excessive that we can run into trouble. And this is another big area of research in medicine, is understanding the variables that influence the intestinal permeability. Ingredient number 3 is the gut-associated lymph tissue, or GALT. Estimated that 70% of our immune cells live within our GI tract and have a number of responsibilities in helping to protect and guard that environment in the gut lumen. Ingredient number 4 is the direct access to the circulation. And this is actually the aha ingredient, my patients will tell me sometimes, because it sort of helps bring this concept full circle for them. We don't sometimes forget that the GI tract is actually a pretty vascular part of the body, where there are vessels that stem from the esophagus and even all the way down, and there are vessels that are in the rectum that come out. And the 2 major circulatory systems are the splenchnic and the portal circulation. And the splenchnic includes the superior and inferior mesenteric vessels, and the portal circulation many dietitians are familiar with because that's in part of how we absorb nutrients and is connected to the liver. So there you have it, the 4 key ingredients of why the GI tract is so important to the health of the rest of the body. A simple way to frame a pretty complex subject. They are the gut microbiome, intestinal permeability, access to the circulation, and our immune cells. And that's just a tad of what you'll be learning in my 4 key systems class. And the next one is starting on June 10th. And we would love to hear from you to sign up for this course. So if you are interested, please just shoot me an email at cindy@practicelikeapro. And that is it for now. I hope you enjoyed my short webinar on the 4 key ingredients. Take care, everyone.